Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Courtside with Coach Crist. This is the October 21st edition of the show, and we are again live from Pinheads of the Gorge, right here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. And I'm joined, of course, by my good buddy Dave Gorby, who is the only man that I know that can hold up an international production of a TV show.
Well, I had some priorities today.
Yeah, priorities.
Well, you know,
this is our claim to fame.
I understand that, but I wanted to go watch my niece.
I got you.
At her regional today.
Gotcha.
So.
Yep, it was a regional cross country meet,
and
he was just a few minutes out, and we just decided instead of starting the show, we just hang on, wait on him till he got here.
I thought it would have been a lot cooler if I would have just walked in right on the set.
I thought so too. I don't think Darren thought so much of that idea. So yeah, so we just decided to wait on him, and but we are here live, and tonight, Dave, we got the women's league going on out here tonight, man. Rocking
yes,
and rolling.
Yes, sir. Man, they are packed in here right now. Yeah, like all the way down.
Yeah, they're giving the spirit fingers and the war hoops and having a big time in here. And they've already been on us about getting on TV and all this. I say, hey, we'll put you on here. All of a sudden, they don't want on when you tell them, yeah, we can put you on. All we got to do is turn the camera around. All of a sudden, they change their mind. So
going back, I will say that she did win a race today.
I was just getting ready to ask you how she did.
She did. Woodrow had a little strategy coming out, and they had three girls lead the pack, and she kind of just sniped them off one by one, and then she got the last one with about 50 yards to go in the whole race.
And is that, you said that was your niece, correct?
Yes.
What's her name, man? Get her some love.
Abby Laundere.
Abby Laundere. There you go.
Greenbrier East.
Greenbrier East. Abby Laundere, Greenbrier East.
Yep.
So, well, good for her. That might be a athlete of the week candidate here before long.
There you go.
We'll have to keep her in mind. Of course, I'm surprised she ain't ragging you already. I know surely she's watched the show.
Greenbrier Valley,
Yeah.
I remember my stepbrother, he woke up one night and I was on the TV over there. He was like, what is this?
Anyway, well, we hope we got a good show thrown together for you here tonight. Of course, we like to explain what we do on the show, or try to do, and that is we try to give a little bit of recognition to our local high school, middle school athletes. We get off track of that sometimes, and especially with our guests, and we're prone to go after those big name guests. That we hope that attracts viewers to the show, and that way it gives more more attention to the young athletes around here that we try to cover. Speaking of covering, we will be at Oak Hill's John P. Duda Stadium tomorrow night as we cover the Oak Hill Bluefield game.
Yes, sir.
And should be a good one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very excited. Kind of excited to get back to a game this week after being off. And then not only is that, it's the Bluefield game.
Right.
It's a game. It's been on the schedule a long time. I think it's the 51st meeting.
Yep.
And I don't want to mention the number, but it's one that we want to get off our back.
2003, wasn't it?
Yes.
I heard a lot of people talking about the soccer game the other night. A lot of people feel like that this is Oak Hill's chance to break that ski it a little bit, and maybe get that win, stop the losing streak against Bluefield. They said this is a year. It's going to happen. So it should be a good game. Should be interesting.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I think the kids are ready. Like 2 weeks. And what they did 2 weeks ago, I think they're ready to get back to playing somebody else.
Yep, probably right. So we'll be there tomorrow. If anybody wants to tune in and watch, we'll go on air probably about, I don't know, is it game 7?
Yes, 7
Game
o'clock.
7?
Yes, sir.
Yep, we'll be on air probably about 15 till. Usually we try to get on 15 minutes early, give a little preview of what's coming up on the game, and then we'll show you the game live stream, just like watching on ESPN.
There we go.
Except for the announcers. Otherwise, it's just like ESPN. Everything else is about it is the ESPN, caliber. The technology is anyway. But anyway, we hope the noise don't drown us out in here tonight. Like I say, these women in here hooping and hollering, having a big time. If you want to come out and have some good grub, good cold beverages, pet a furry dog, everyone a dog walking through. You can do all that here at Pinheads. It's a great place, great atmosphere. That's why we like coming here. They're always awful nice to us and allowing us to come in and take up some of their space. And I don't think these women mind it, though. They all been yelling about getting on TV and wanting us to video them while they're bowling and all that kind of thing. So we might have us a new home.
I mean,
here,
I see some good score. I see a 213 right now.
I was watching here just a minute ago, and it was a 209 here just a minute ago, and a 197 right behind it. I'm like, Lord, I couldn't bowl that if you put 3 of my games together.
I mean,
I used to teach school And I taught some lower level learning kids. And we used bowling scores to teach them how to add. I always thought that's probably not the best way to do it, but that's the way they wanted us to teach it. So we taught bowling scores. So I learned how to actually keep score in bowling pretty good. Probably couldn't do it now, but I did know how back then. Anyway, we also, another thing we do for our young folks, we pick an athlete of the week every week, and Gino's Pizza is kind enough to sponsor that for us. So we call it the Gino's Pizza Courtside with Coach Crist Athlete of the Week. Each week we try to pick a player, a band member, a cheerleader, somebody that's had an outstanding performance during the past week, and we take nominations from people wherever and whenever. We don't get a lot of nominations. I don't understand that. I know there's, I look at the number of people that watch, so I know people know that we do that.
Yes.
We just don't get many. I've had, a few.
I've had a few too.
Yeah, here and there you'll get a nominee from somebody, but we'd like to have 15, 20 names in here to have the panel pick from. So, and there's plenty of sports going on now, so it shouldn't be a problem. During the pandemic, it was a problem. It's not a problem now. So make sure you get your nominees.
And we're starting to get. I just came from a regional. They had the soccer sectionals the other night. It's week 9 of football.
That's
we're
right.
starting to get to the postseason of everything here in the fall. So
yes, there's plenty of stuff going on. So it's not like we don't. Not like we don't have good candidates out there that people could be nominated. We can't see them all, so we got to depend on people to get them in here. Last week, our guest was a man by the name of Arden Coger Jr. That was a lot of fun. He was the
I thought that was interesting.
National champion. What we decided we was going to call him, timber sports. Is that what it was? Timber sports guy. Been a national champion, of course, state champion. Heads up the wood chopping festival in Webster County. That was a lot of fun talking to him. We're going to try to get him back on again closer to the wood chopping festival.
Memorial Day weekend,
So we'll get him back. That was a lot of fun talking to Arden Coger Jr. This week, we're going to speak to Ray Lee, the head football coach at Greenbrier East. No rubbing anything in, Gorp.
I didn't say anything. Did not say anything.
Got to be nice. And also, we'll have, of course, our regular segment. We call it House Calls with Dr. Crist. We'll have him on, and who knows, we may get that audience caller that we usually get every week. We'll probably have one of those tuning in sometime tonight. He'll call in here sometime. We'll be waiting on that anxiously, as we always do. I know you always look forward to that.
Absolutely.
Your enthusiasm was bowls me over.
Yes.
All right. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will introduce our athlete of the week this week, and then we'll move on through the show. After we talk about our athlete of the week, we'll take another quick break. We'll get our house call in, and we'll save Coach Lee till the end. The last part of the show, we'll have him on here. So also we got a lot of, the new rankings are out. We want to talk about those a little bit. We always try to get those on if we have time. We got some big games in the area that I definitely do want to talk about. In fact, let's go ahead and talk about some of those games. I went ahead and copied some of them down, some of the local games of interest to us. Not all the games. We're not going to go over all of them, but there are some games in the area, and I'll get your feelings on some of them. Some of them we won't know much about because we don't see these teams play. We just hear what we hear. But in AAA, the big games this week, number 3, Jefferson. They take on number 1, Martinsburg. Both of them undefeated. But I would have to think that Martinsburg is the prohibitive favorite in that game.
Yeah, you think so just by the history,
right?
It's always Martinsburg from up there, and outside of the Eastern Panhandle, even though Jefferson's undefeated, we really don't know too much about Jefferson other than they've won games, they're undefeated right now.
Right.
We don't know. So we'll see how tomorrow night goes with that game. But as you said, everybody's probably thinking Martinsburg.
Right. So. Another big game in the area or in the state. Number 2, Huntington. And this is an interesting time of year because we start to get down now where these ranked teams are playing each other. They may cruise through that first half of the season, then they get to second half and they have to start playing each other. So anyway, number 2, Huntington, 8-0. They take on number 8, South Charleston, who comes in at 5-2. That should be a good one.
Yes, between both of those teams, they are probably, Huntington's 8-0. South Charleston's hiccup a couple times. They're 5-2, still solid 5-2, playing in the Mountain State Conference. But they're two of the better younger teams in the MSAC. They're kind of almost like a year away, but they're having Huntington's really having that success.
Right. Oh yeah.
So it really should be good. Should be good.
Yep.
Should be good.
Number 7, Bridgeport. They taking on number 4, Princeton. Bridgeport coming in at 6-0, Princeton 5-0.
You know, that's interesting because it's a matchup you don't see at all.
Right.
And you know, Bridgeport's coming down here to Princeton. You know, Princeton, Coach Pedigo, he's really starting to kind of get that program going just within the past 3-4 years.
Yeah.
And you know, this is a big matchup. I think I read today this is the first top 8 matchup between two teams at Honeycutt since like 2002.
Oh, okay.
So you know, it should be definitely interesting down Princeton tomorrow night.
Yeah, it should be. Also, number 10, Greenbrier East, we mentioned them because we're going to have Coach Lee on here in just a minute. They're taking on Hampshire County. Greenbrier East, of course, number 10 in AAA. Bluefield and Oak Hill tomorrow night. That's the game we're interested in.
Yes.
Bluefield at 2-2. You guys are 3-4 according to the SSAC. I think I didn't know we play 7 games. But I guess
Yes,
we have.
yeah,
Man,
yeah.
wow.
We're week 9. We're week 9 right now.
Unreal.
And we had one open week, so
Yeah.
7 games.
But I tell you what, we win a couple more here.
Hey, I got interested in that East game because I want them to win.
That's right, absolutely. Yeah, that's points.
Yeah,
that's
that's a bonus
Yep.
point.
Yep, that's points. Got to
Yep.
got to pull for them. That's for sure. I'm getting text messages here about people wanting to know how to watch, how to listen. You can't listen. You got to watch.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to watch. This is not radio. Shouldn't say that, but it's not. I always say radio is the dinosaur.
Yeah.
It's going by the wayside. All these radio guys out there be killing me for that. Anyway, double A games. Number 9 Scott takes on number 1 Polka.
I mean, you know, that's the Cardinal Conference.
Yeah.
Another good conference for Double A there. You know, Scott, is Scott the team? Did they beat Liberty last week? Is that right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
You know, they kind of got into Liberty a little bit, even though Liberty's still having a good year. And then, you know, Polka's number 1, 6-0. So it should be another real good game there. You know.
Yeah.
I think you got the Payne. I think Payne's little brother's the main guy for Polka now. The older brother went to Marshall.
Yeah. Yeah, I've read his name quite a bit. Yep, sure is. All right, and of course, Double A, the one we're watching closely around here just because of the local interest, Independence and Nicholas County.
Yeah.
And you know, Dave, I'll be honest with you, when I watched Oak Hill and Nicholas County play, first of all, Oak Hill should have won the game.
Yes.
And I thought, well, Nicholas is so-so, but they turned out to be pretty daggone good.
I tell you, you know, Coach Moore's just he has a program up there.
Yeah.
He definitely has a program up there. And it's going to be interesting. You know, they, you know, against us, you know, we really didn't have the passing game going on when we played them.
Right.
So they stacked the box against us. And I kind of have a feeling that's what they might do. You know, everybody's on Atticus, but I think Indy has a little bit of a passing game.
Yeah,
with them.
they do. I watched them play. I watched them on TV against Midland Trail, and one thing I noticed about them, they have that huge line that can match up with Nicholas County's line, and Nicholas County tries to power that thing at you.
The only thing about Indy, and I'm not because they're good. They're good.
Yep.
They haven't played a whole game yet.
Right.
And that's not knocking them because they've been beating their competition.
So it'll be a fun one to watch. I'm anxious to see how that one turns out. Single A games, not a lot of local interest, but we got Roane County, number 7, Dodgers County, number 2, Liberty Raleigh, of course, number 11. We are interested in them. James Monroe, number 7.
Well, that's kind of, you know, with Bridgeport and Princeton and then the Indy and Nicholas matchup, that's kind of getting you know, kind of down here in the underthought. You know, nobody's really saying anything about it, but that's a big matchup.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
James Monroe wins it. That kind of pushes them to get some home field games.
Yep,
in
they're
the
going to
playoffs.
jump up for sure. Yeah, they'll be solid in that top 8. And of course, locally Greenbrier West and Sherman West 14, Sherman number 11. So those games are on tap for tomorrow night. Should be some interesting ones here around in the local area. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll announce our Athlete of the Week, the Geno's Pizza Courtside with Coach Crist Athlete of the Week. I'm Greg Crist, and this is our star co-host who comes in at the last second. Again, the only man I know that can tie up a major network production while we wait on him to get here. So anyway,
I tried.
We'll take a break. We'll be back after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist, Greg Crist, Dave Gorber. We're coming to you live from Pinheads of the Gorge here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. A big night out here at Pinheads. We've got the women's bowling league going on. A lot of cold beverages flowing. A lot of bowling going on, a lot of eating going on, a lot of laughing going on. Good place to be. Good atmosphere. And, Dave, I said I was going to offend some of my radio friends. I already offended one and sent me a text. I didn't mean to offend anybody. I was just saying, live stream is kind of the way things are going, you know what I'm saying? I mean, there are still those of us who enjoy good radio broadcasting. My buddy Gary Griffith is one of the best in the business, and he's by no means obsolete, although I sent him a picture of a dinosaur just now. But he's no way to talk to my man Gary Griffith. You are not a dinosaur, Gary. I love you, and I love listening to your broadcast, so don't kill me over that one. Anyway, we wanted to announce our our athlete of the week, and we were talking about soccer there a minute ago, and that's actually where our athlete of the week comes from this week, and it is none other than the goaltender for Oak Hill's girls soccer team. Her name is Eden Gilkey, and Eden the other night in the sectional tournament play had 2 straight stops on they call it penalty kicks.
Penalty kicks.
I guess even though it's overtime, it's still penalty kicks. Shootout kicks. Yeah, whatever they call it.
Probably penalty kicks. Yeah.
Gorby, I go up to broadcast the game, and I'm just sitting there like I'm numb, and I don't know what's going on. The only thing I know about soccer is one team tries to kick it in the net, the other team tries to keep it out of the net, and vice versa.
Hey, I will comment on that. I liked AG on there the other night. I thought
did a good job.
I thought those 2 guys did. And
speaking of them, I had notes down here to mention them. So I want to mention their names.
I'm telling you, man, they did good.
Yes, they did. Chris Smith and A.G. Grimmett, they took care of the broadcast.
Yeah.
And then Chris Pennington ran the camera for Darren during that. So we appreciate those guys. They did a good job. We had a lot of good comments about them, about the job that they were doing. So anyway, Eden Gilkey shed those two stops that were huge and gave them the win, basically. We did give them the win, not basically. It gave them the win. And so they're taking on Woodrow Wilson tonight for the sectional championship game. We don't know anything about that one yet. We'll let you know if we get a score before we're off the air.
That's where Rusty was at Rusty was at the cross country because I talked to him.
Right.
And he was like, tell Coach Crist, I'm going right across the road over to the soccer region.
Yeah, because I always say, what are you doing tonight? I need you to come on the show. But I quit bothering him now because I know how busy he is, and I don't want him to feel bad for not calling in.
Definitely busy this evening.
Yep. Also, Eden, their coach, Bubby Wilburn, talked about her. Talked about she'd only been the goalie for a couple years, and according to him, she has been the one that's kept them in games all year long. She's done a phenomenal job. So congratulations to Eden Gilkey. She is our Geno's Pizza Courtside with Coach Crist Athlete of the Week. She'll, of course, get free pizza. She'll get a coupon for that. She'll get a coupon for some free stuff at Tudor's. She'll also get a free certificate, a nice certificate, and, of course, her name mentioned on our show, and which will make her famous worldwide. So congratulations to Eden Gilkey for being our Athlete of the Week this week. Geno's Pizza sponsors that, and we thank Geno's for that. All right, Dave, we said that we might look at some of these rankings. We do have the SSAC rankings in, which are the important ones, and we try to get over those and go through these first 16 anyway, because this is where, and we're getting down to crunch time now, this is where teams get in and fall out. And, well, hold on here just a minute. Looks like we might have a audience caller calling in. Let's see who we got here. It's Courtside with Coach Crist. Who am I speaking to?
Hey there, Coach Crist. Here, Jim Bob Nucky Negro.
Hey, Nucky Negro. Yeah, how you doing, Nucky?
Yes, sir. A long-time pitcher, first-time caller here from Baton Rouge, Louisiana.
Oh, first-time caller. That's awesome, too. We love first-time callers. We like to give you a little drum roll and a cymbal sound. That's first-time caller for our guest caller tonight. And, again, it's my old friend, Nucky. We got to call him Nucky Negro. And Jim Bob is his first name, Jim Bob Negro. Jim Bob, what's going on down in Baton Rouge? Negro is what I said.
I tell you here now, Coach, I've been listening to y'all a lot, and that Gorby fella, he takes a dang beating from your callers, and
yes, he does.
I got to tell you, I ain't gonna be no different now. Let's run through this here list of callers right now, son, because let me tell you something. Here's the list. See, all we know at this point is he's sexy AF.
Yeah.
He drive a red Impala.
Yes, he does.
Had one of them there good hat heads. He don't say much, which make him mysterious, like to the women.
Yes, yeah, he is
And
a
he
mystery
can't
man.
say much because Coach Crist interrupt him every once in a while. And then
I'm sorry,
we
Dave.
know he doesn't yield to the right at a four-way stops. He knows, and old Goldie, he knows a lot about sports. And I heard him that one time this KB signed in that he was a good kisser in his senior yearbook.
Ooh, well, how about that?
I figure he come down here with me and Nollins, and we get us a bunch of mud bugs, a 12-pack, and head to the French Quarter, spend some of them pennies in one of those there nice established malts. Then 2 feet, they come a-creeping, and we go catch us a fade do-do. Yeah,
I hear you.
lazy leg bone tar roulette.
I hear you, Jim Bob. I think Gore might be up for some of that again. The mystery man. That's a good. What do you want to call it? Description of him. That's excellent. The mystery man.
Yes, sir. Sir.
Might have to be his
So,
new handle. Mystery man.
But you know,
Gore.
Coach, we have to be beat that night right careful down Nollins, because Nollins a very expensive place.
Yes, it is.
And you know, you don't want no voodoo woman named Phyllis putting the Greek on you. That's for damn sure.
That's right. That's exactly right. You're right. So anyway, you're calling in. I know most of our audience callers usually have they call in right before our segment with Dr. Crist, and you know I know you're a big baseball player and have been for a long time. You've got a baseball question, I'm sure, tonight. What is your question for Dr. Crist?
Yes, sir. Now, so here, Coach, I got to tell you, as you said, I've been playing that baseball for a long time.
Yeah.
Woo-wee. Since Goldie was knee-high to an alligator. My special was pitching. My catcher always say, nothing. Throw me something, mister. So I throw my old Louisiana frog cake. Some of them people call it a knuckleball. And they're not no one that can hit it.
Nobody
look like a crooked 20-pound chicken getting spit out of an alligator mouth.
I heard that.
So that leads me to my question for Dr. Crist.
All right.
So last week he said no one hit a curveball
right.
and fastball because of the spin.
Right.
So why no one can hit Nucky Louisiana frog cake when it no spin at all?
That's right. That's a whole different pitch, isn't it? That goes
That's
against
exactly
the grain.
right.
Yeah, no,
I don't understand it, Coach.
I don't either, but we'll get Dr. Crist. You know, oddly enough, he talked to me earlier today, and he said he was going to talk a little bit about the some of the psychology and all that behind knuckleballs and how they hit them and what they do and what the batter sees and all that. So your question kind of goes right along with what we was going to talk to Dr. Crist about. So that's awesome. That's a great question.
Well, I appreciate that, Coach. So, you know, I gotta go, Coach, because I'm going swamping for Alley Cat with my neighbor Posey. He a Cougon, you know.
Yeah.
And he ain't got no good looks. No, he ain't got no much sense.
Right.
But he sure got a cooler full of beer.
And now is that the same guy that liked the 8-ball? Is that the same guy?
Yes, sir. He like an 8-ball, just as good as a cooler full of beer.
I heard that. Well, listen, you guys be careful down there in the swamp, and we appreciate you calling in and asking the question. That's awesome.
As we say down here in the swamp, Coach, bye you.
Bye you too, buddy. Okay, Jim Bob, Nucky, Necro. That's pretty good stuff there, Gore. By Jim Bob. I've known Jim Bob a long time. He down there in the swamp, man, but he sure could throw that knuckleball.
Stuff.
You got nothing to say?
Nope.
All right. Let's get a break in here and try to recoup. A little bit, and when we come back, we'll have a house call with Dr. Crist on, and then later on in the show, we'll have Coach Ray Lee from Greenbrier East. Stay with us. I'm Greg Crist, Dave Gorby. You're watching Courtside with Coach Crist from Pinheads of the Gorge here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist, Greg Crist, along with Dave Gorby. Dave's been a little silent tonight, but he's getting back on his game.
I've been silent tonight.
Well, you actually, the first part of the show was good. You rolled on that. You rolled on that. I think Jim Bob might have caught you off guard just a little bit, but it's understandable. He catches all of us off guard.
I don't think it's catching off guard. Just let him say whatever. Just let him go.
Just let him go, huh? Not try to interject. Yeah. I hear you. We're at Pinheads of the Gorge again tonight here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. Got the women's league going on in here, and they're rocking and rolling, yelling, hollering, drinking, bowling, having a good time, man. And we're just here. They're allowing us to be part of the crowd, Dave. So we got to appreciate that. We appreciate Pinheads letting us come in here and do this just about every Thursday here lately. It's become our home away from home. So have to appreciate him for that. Right now we have on the phone with us Dr. Crist. This is one of our favorite episodes. If not, this is the part of the show I think that most people enjoy the most. I think the segment with Dr. Crist. And tonight. Last week he talked about, of course, Jim Bob mentioned this, he talked about the dynamics of the two-seam and the four-seam fastball, what makes it appear that it's rising, falling, and how batters perceive it and how they can hit it and all those types of things. Tonight, and Jim Bob, again, surprisingly, asked a question that goes wrong with the topic tonight. The topic tonight, again, is the knuckleball and, some of the secrets behind that knuckleball and how it moves and what batters see and what they perceive and how all that is worked into the psyche of things. So, Dr. Crist, we appreciate you joining us. And, again, you're here to talk about the knuckleball, so have at it.
All right. Sounds good. Yeah, yep. Jim Bob Nuckies, whatever his last name was, but pretty good.
Necro.
Necros.
Yeah, make sure you get that
right. Jim Bob Necro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is an interesting question because, like last week, as you said, we talked about how it's the spin on the curveball and the fastball,
right,
which actually makes it move. But you have a pitch, the knuckleball, which doesn't or spin at all or hardly spins at all.
Right.
And it may actually have the most movement of all pitches.
Yep.
So it's important to kind of know, how these pitches perform and how they come about. So a knuckleball is thrown where the seams actually face the batter and the pitcher releases it with equal force on all their fingers, so it reduces the spin. Now, a typical knuckleball will spin between 1/2 and 3 rotations from the time it leaves the pitcher's hand to the time it reaches home plate. What's interesting about this knuckleball pitch is the effect on the knuckleball, the movement of it, only occurs if several conditions are met. First of all, the pitch has to be thrown somewhere between 70 and 80 miles per hour. If you throw it too slow, it doesn't move. If you throw it too fast, it doesn't move. The second thing is it has to have no more than 3 rotations. If it rotates more than 3 times on the way to home plate, it'll go straight. And it'll be very predictable where it's going to go.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's very important for the pitcher to be able to throw it so that it doesn't rotate hardly at all.
Right.
The other thing is despite the fact that it doesn't have any spin, one of the effects on the knuckleball has to do with how many times it actually does. And so if it spins a half a rotation, to spinning 1.5 rotations, where the ball ends up could be dramatically different just based on that little bit of a difference.
Right.
And if you recall, a pitcher throws a fastball and it spins 20 times a second. So you can imagine the difference, when this thing is only spinning 1.5 or 2 times for the entire pitch. And that's why not many people can throw it, because it has to be that precise in order for it to actually work as intended.
Right.
Now, the thing about the knuckleball, what's been said about it is that it's unpredictable and erratic, which means you don't really know where it's going. And studies have shown that that's actually true. The ball is unpredictable where it's going to go. It may break right, it may break left, it may break down, it might break up. And it has to do with how many rotations there are on the ball
because unlike the fastball where the Magnus effect, remember the Magnus effect causes the ball to rise? There's no Magnus effect on a knuckleball.
I was going to ask you that. That was going to be one of my questions.
There's no Magnus effect on the knuckleball. What seems to be affecting the movement is the resistance that the actual seams meet as it's traveling down the path toward the batter.
So it's the air hitting.
Exactly. The air hits it and pushes it right or left. Now, the real question is you've heard people talk about knuckleballs, they seem to float.
Right.
Or they'll change direction. They'll break right and then they'll break left. Well, yeah, kind of, sort of. So what the study, so if you've watched a baseball game recently, you know there's something called TrackMan.
Yep.
Where they actually show the pitches, and they've got that box, the batter's box.
Yep.
And they can actually show the trajectory of these pitches as they're going. So people have started to study these trajectories. And what they have found is that the knuckleball actually has a pretty smooth trajectory, just like a curveball and a fastball. In fact, the difference is less than 1/10 of the width of a baseball.
Wow.
Okay. But it seems to be bigger.
Right.
And so when that batter sees the ball break right and then break left, if it breaks the other way, the most it is breaking is less than half an inch.
Right.
It is less than half an inch. So when you're looking at that, that's pretty hard to even tell that it's breaking, that breaks that much. The other thing that happens is that, again, the research studies have shown, and by the way, there's a guy by the name of Alan Nathan, who is a physics professor emeritus at the University of Illinois, who's devoted a lot of his career to studying baseball pitches. and so what he says is that for the first 40 feet, a knuckleball, no matter how it's thrown, no matter how many rotations are, looks to be the same. But in the last 20 feet is when it really breaks.
Right.
And the difference in where it breaks can be at the end as much as 8 or 10 inches, even though the only difference in the pitch is one pitch rotated 1.5 times and the other pitch rotated a half a time.
Right.
But it can be that much of a difference because the forces start affecting the ball. But the other thing that he found that was so interesting is that the ball does not really break all that much. Once it starts to break one way, it tends to keep going that way. And if it does break back the other way, like I said, it's a very, very tiny amount that's probably imperceptible. He also said that what happens too is the batter and the catcher, they tend to make the same mistakes in predicting where the ball is going to go. So they're looking at the same cues. So what he believes is happening is that the pitcher or the batter, because he can see the seams on the ball and the seams start to wobble a little bit, it exaggerates the sense of movement. So this is optical delusion part 2, if you will. That the ball really isn't moving that much. Like I said, less than half an inch. But the batter perceives it as breaking several inches.
Right.
And that's why it's so hard to hit. But if that ball turns over an extra turn on the way down, it's going to go straight in, and it's going to get crushed by the batter.
Yeah. Well, and too, I think, the difference with, like, with a curveball or a slider, it's going to go, if it's a right-handed guy, it's going to go from right to left from him facing it. The fastball, the 4 seams going to look like it rises. The 2 seams going to look like it drops. But with a knuckleball, you don't necessarily know, it might break in, might break out. So I think that even though it's a small break, and if it breaks one way and breaks then the other way, even if it's just extremely small, it looks huge because it's so much different than any of the other pitches.
Exactly. Yeah. That's exactly right. And so with the fastball and the curveball, because we know these effects, the trajectory is very predictable. When you throw a curveball, right-hander throws a curveball, it always breaks that way.
Right.
And if they throw a 2-seam fastball, it always breaks that way.
Yeah.
But with a knuckleball, you never know. So it is unpredictable which way it's going to break. But again, once it starts breaking, it's not really all that different from a curveball or a fastball.
Right.
Once it starts breaking, the trajectory is almost identical what a curveball or fastball would do.
Right.
But it's the perception of it, and,
Right.
and your brain telling you that because you're seeing that little wobble in the
Right.
scene,
Right.
that the ball is actually moving more than it really is, and that's why people miss it.
Yeah. Wow. Fascinating stuff, huh, Gord?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Jim Bob.
And
Jim Bob's right
that's
on
why
it.
catchers miss it too. That
Right. Yeah, and they wear
Nathan
gloves.
said that,
Yeah.
that both the batter and the catcher seem to be predicting the path of the ball right when it gets to be about 40 feet down.
Right.
So 20 feet from the plate, that's when they're making their guess about where it's going to be.
Right.
And they tend to make the same mistake. So if the batter swings over top of the ball, so they guess it's going to be higher,
Right.
it tends to hit the bottom of the catcher's mitt because the catcher thought it was going to be higher too.
Right.
So they're obviously looking at the same stuff.
And those catchers, they wear gloves. It's like the size of Gorby's Impala. I mean, it's that big. The gloves are.
Yeah.
So they try to catch
That's
that thing because they don't know where it's going
That's right.
either.
They have to be big.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, the ball can break quite a bit, but once it breaks, it tends to go that way, and it
Right.
doesn't really break much back the other way.
Right.
It can, but it's very, very slight.
Yeah.
Very slight.
Awesome stuff, man. Awesome stuff as always. And we wish we had. We're going to change up the format a little bit here so we can have a little bit longer time to talk about some of these things because you start talking about it and you start having questions about it and you start wondering what happens when you do this, what happens when you do that. So
Yeah.
we'll try to. We're going to rotate the order a little bit next week and have a little bit more time. But fascinating stuff, and I know Jim Bob is. Probably very pleased with that answer, I would say. You probably taught him a lot. He's a knuckleballer from down in the swamps, and I know he's pretty excited to hear all that stuff about the knuckleball. So appreciate the answer, man.
All right. Y'all take care.
All right,
Have a
good,
great night.
good talking to you again.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. That's Dr. Crist from down in Alabama. He's close down there to the Louisiana swamp. He might run into Jim Bob
I
down
don't
there
know why
somewhere.
they don't hang out.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
should be hanging out.
Why doesn't Jim Bob just go to his office?
That's right. That's
Instead
right.
of calling it here.
That's right. Talk, and talk to Dr. Crist. I mean, Jim Bob and Dr. Can you imagine that
It's
conversation?
Dr. Chris's like flat rate so expensive he has to call in here to
Yeah,
get
it
the
must
answer.
be. Must be. Jim Bob probably couldn't afford him, so that's got to be it. So, yeah, he should just go by Dr. Chris' office and say, "Hey, I'm under that knuckleball." Oh, let's talk about it. All right, let's get us a break in here real quick. When we come back, we appreciate again Dr. Crist as always. That's a great segment. We have to give him a little love there, and we appreciate him calling in with this interesting topics. It's good stuff. So we also appreciate Jim Bob calling in with his question. We'll get us a quick break. When we come back, we're going to talk to Greenbrier East head coach Ray Lee about those Greenbrier East Spartans. Got a big game coming up Friday night, and they're highly ranked, and they want to keep that ranking. And that's also good for Oak Hill if they get wins. So that's what we're looking forward to. So stay with us. You're watching Courtside with Coach Chris. We're coming to you live from Pinheads of the Gorge tonight on Jones Avenue, as we usually do. Greg Chris, Dave Gorby, bringing you all the fun tonight. So we hope you'll stay with us. We'll be back after these messages. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Courtside with Coach Crist. I'm Greg Crist along with Dave Gorby, coming to you live tonight from Pinheads of the Gorge up here on Jones Avenue in Oak Hill. And a lot of action going on in here tonight. You can probably hear in the background. Got ladies' night out here tonight. A lot of ladies out here. I think they're bowling. I think some of them are having some brews and just having generally a good time. If you want to have some good food and a good time, come on up to Pinheads. Right now we are honored and grateful to have Greenbrier East head coach Ray Lee on the air with us. Coach, we appreciate you on such short notice taking a little bit of time to join us.
Well, I appreciate you having me.
No problem. You guys, you're ranked number 10 in AAA, and you take on Hampshire County this week. Before we get to the game coming up this week, let's talk a little bit about your season so far. Been a relatively good season so far. You guys are 5-2. Talk a little bit about your team. You know, what kind of team you have, what kind of things you try to do to your opponents, and what you're looking forward to in these upcoming games.
I'll tell you what. Let me start off by saying best wishes to our boys soccer team. When I left school over there, they were in a 0-0 tie with Woodrow.
Okay.
So hopefully things will come out well for them.
Yep.
And again, when you're talking about our football team, you know, we pretty much, when I say they're playing pretty good, we got off to a good start, and then kind of dropped two games against two good schools.
Right.
Robert C. Byrd and Oak Hill.
Yep.
Those were heartbreaking losses, but those were two good football teams that we played against. And both of them, we always tell our guys, don't let a team beat you twice. So we have to put it behind us and then move forward. And, after those two losses, I think we came away with two good wins and looking forward to finishing out our season strong.
Yep.
So guys are playing well and they're working hard, and have to give a lot of credit to, our coaches that put in the work also.
I was looking at your schedule and I think, and I don't know, I don't, of course, follow all these teams, but looking at your schedule, it looks like to me that, you have a pretty good shot in just about all these games coming up. And if you guys could succeed in those wins, y'all could be hosting a playoff game. How cool would that be?
You always set those kinds of goals.
Right.
We pretty much try to emphasize to our players, just work each week at a time.
Right.
And then after the game, the final game, that 10th football game, I always say, then we'll talk about the rankings.
There you go.
We don't try to look past anyone and try to look ahead and predict anything.
Right.
We got Hampshire tomorrow night, and I think, we just need to go out and play Spartan football and try to bring home a win. And then we'll take care of business after that.
I got you. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what kind of a team? I watched your game with Oak Hill. I watched that. We were doing another game, but we were tuning in and checking it out periodically. We really couldn't get a good grasp of the type of team that you are. What you guys like to throw it? You like to run the thing at people? What is your forte?
When you say that, we have basically come out each year and see what we have, and then we just try to put things together from there.
Gotcha.
And then try to keep everything balanced. We don't want to be predictable, and we don't want to be, stale or generic.
Right.
So we try to mix things up and then use what comes out to us. I always tell everybody, high school football, you're at the mercy of who comes out for
exactly
football.
Right. I'm so glad you said that, because I was a basketball coach for 30 years, 26 years. I was a head coach for about 13 years, and I always said, I always felt like one of the things that I learned coming up as a young coach was watching some of these coaches who took, lesser talent and became a good team. They changed the way they coached. They changed the way they played the game, and they were successful because they played according to their talent. So I'm so glad to hear you say that, you guys kind of see what you got, and then you go from there. I think that's a great approach, especially in high school.
Oh, yeah. And, I always make a joke about it. It's like going to the kitchen cabinet and seeing what you got in there, mixing things up and coming up with a good meal. So, like I said, you're at the mercy of who comes out, and then you just coach them up. We're not in a metropolis area where you loaded with people coming into your schools.
Right.
So the young men that come out for us, we ask them to commit to what we're doing, and we have a set of standards and a set of expectations, and we just want them to rise to those standards and expectations, and
Awesome.
let everything else take care of itself.
Awesome. Sounds like a great approach, and I'm sure it's part of the reason why you guys are being successful. So good for you. You guys, like you said, you got Hampshire coming up tomorrow night. What do you expect out of this ball game?
It's when I say a good football team, they got a good quarterback, real athletic guy, good defensive and offensive lineman. He plays both ways, and they got a lot of people that complement those two guys. Big across the front, got a good running back and a couple good wide receivers. So it's just a matter of them putting things together.
Right.
And they can finish out strong also, and that's why we're telling our players we can't look past anyone.
That's right.
We got to make sure we play tomorrow night, just like we've been doing for these past 6 weeks, and get things done.
That's right. Yeah, you're right with that approach as well. And you guys, again, you're ranked number 10. So, every game is extremely important. And, we're going to wish you luck. We're going to be watching, seeing how it goes. And we hope that everything works out for you guys and you get on in the playoffs, maybe host a home game. We'll look forward to watching that. Before I let you go, and like I said, I don't know you. I've never really met you. And I do a segment here. Anytime I have a guest on, we have a little segment we call Shoot to Three. And we ask you 3 random questions that have absolutely nothing to do with what we've been talking about tonight. But we ask you to answer those within 30 seconds. If you don't, then my co-host here, Mr. Gorby, he delivers some type of punishment that will affect you for a lifetime. So we want you to answer these as fast as you can. So we're going to hit you with these questions before we sign off. And if you're ready to go, we'll go.
Hold on, give me a prop again.
And Gorby's a big guy.
Hey,
both of us are big guys. But
Coach, I'll get you focused. The soccer game is 1-1.
1-1
in overtime.
Okay.
In overtime.
Oh, wow.
Overtime.
Okay.
So next score wins.
Next score wins it.
Just
there
to let you
go.
know there.
And then if nobody scores in this next overtime, they go to the kicks, right?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. I'll watch that.
Oh,
the other
wow.
night.
Okay.
All right, there you go. 1-1. All right. First question: if they were to make a movie about your life, who would play the lead role?
Is it I would.
There you go.
Okay. All right. That works right
That might be
there.
one of the best answers we've had. Who else? But yeah, let me play it. All right. If we looked in your refrigerator, you mentioned getting in the refrigerator or cabinet earlier and getting something to eat. If we looked in your fridge right now, what would we find?
Orange juice, lemon and sweet tea.
Man, sounds good. No food? If you're like me, you was a poor school teacher all your life, so you never had any food in there, that's for sure. All right, last question. If you had to lose a body part, which body part would it be?
My big toe.
There you go. I would have took a pinky toe, but we'll get a big toe. That's all right. But, Coach, I appreciate you playing along with us there, and you made it in 30 seconds, so Gorby don't have to come down and deliver any punishment. And I hope if I ever do get a chance to meet you and you see me that you don't want to whip me as well. But we appreciate you coming on such short notice like this. We I know we put you behind the 8 ball just a little bit, but we did want to get a chance to talk to you guys and wish you the best of luck the rest of the way. We hope you keep winning games and getting in those playoffs and getting that home game. That'd be awesome. We look forward to it.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you having us on.
All right, we'll get you back on again too if you'll be kind enough to come back with us.
Will do.
All right,
Go
Coach.
Spartans.
All right, buddy. Appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Good night.
All right.
All right,
Bye.
Coach Ray Lee from Greenbrier East. So good enough to come on. Like I said, it was a last-minute call, and Darren was able to hook him up there with Joe Sharp over in Greenbrier County and with the Greenbrier Valley Channel, and they was able to hook us up and get him on. So we appreciate him coming on such short notice and being a good enough sport to play along with our silliness. So, of course, this show's kind of, is it devolved? I know we were talking about what was that word that last week Jack Jackson used, and then this week it was like when you think you're seeing something but you're not seeing it. I forgot the word.
Is that the 3-word thing?
No, it was a word.
That's all I remember. I'm like, man.
An optical delusion. That's what it was. Optical delusion.
Okay.
So now I forgot what I was talking about. Tried to figure out what that word was and forgot what I was talking about. But anyway, this game devolved and evolved. Yeah. This show has devolved into silliness, I think. But hey, why not be silly? I can't be too serious because I don't know enough about sports to get too serious about this stuff. So I just have fun goofing off.
Yeah.
So I'm a good goofer offer. You probably remember that back when I was a teacher. I was one of the goofer offer teachers.
What are you talking about? I studied hard.
That's right.
On those Channel 1 nights,
That's
Coach.
exactly right.
Hard.
That's right. My goal back then was to get my content from somebody else.
If nobody knows what that was, it was basically a 12-minute news channel for students.
Every day. Come on.
And it was this guy. That was his class.
I tried to get, my goal was, I thought, you know what, this is like, I taught civics, so it's kind of government, current events type things. And I thought, what better current events than to do the news? And I always fussed because kids never, back then I'd say they never read the newspaper, they never watched the news.
Yeah.
I wanted to expose a little bit to some of the things going on in the world, and I thought that was a good way to do it. I don't know if it
so
was
basically, it got homeroom to chill out. It was on during homeroom.
right,
Is what it was.
made everybody watch and be quiet.
Yeah, made everybody watch. Yeah.
And we got our lessons from Anderson Cooper.
So long ago.
It was a long time ago, wasn't it? All right, that's going to do it for another crazy Courtside with Coach Crist. We appreciate you joining us tonight. We appreciate Dr. Crist for coming on and talking to us about the knuckleball. We appreciate Coach Ray Lee, Greenbrier East head football coach, for coming on talking about the Spartans and what they got coming up. And we also, of course, appreciate Jim Bob Nucky Necro coming to us from down in the swamps of Louisiana. So we appreciate all those folks for being on the show tonight. We appreciate you for watching us, and we appreciate Pinheads for having us out here during ladies' night. A lot of bowling going on, a lot of laughing, and drinking, having a good time, really enjoying themselves, and great place to come, great atmosphere here if you want to have a good time. Appreciate all of you, and we look forward to talking to you tomorrow night when we'll be bringing you the Oak Hill Bluefield game from John P. Duda Stadium. We'll be on the air probably about 6:45, Dave, and we look for big things out of you.
So Coach Blank's got to give his analysis.
Coach Blank has got to be there giving us some good. I know he's probably home studying film.
He
right
better
now.
be.
He's probably home watching film.
Be.
I told him he prepared more for that one game, and I prepared in 8 years of doing this kind of stuff. So Blank does a good job, man. He might be angling to take my spot. I don't know. You and him might be conspiring together to kind of move me aside.
What are you talking about?
All right. If I keep messing with you, I know you're going to say, all right, I'm done with it.
I have a different headset on tomorrow night. I'm not glued into you guys.
You ain't worried about that, are you?
Yeah.
So, all right.
I got Coach Spangler.
You got your ears full. You got plenty to listen to. All right, that's going to do it for tonight. We appreciate you again. We'll talk to you tomorrow night. Oak Hill taking on Bluefield. Good night, everybody.